For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Stuart Cunningham. I'm the academic leader for creative industries, media and performance at the university. And so your academic area falls underneath my remit and part of this broader area of creative industries. So what I thought it would be useful would be to take this opportunity to come and introduce myself to you again properly, but also to tell you a few things about the creative industries, maybe how art and design slots into the creative industries, and also say a little bit about the creative industries building which we've got going up on the campus, which will be finished at the end of this month. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to come and talk to you about a number of these things. If we start off thinking about creative industries themselves and what they actually mean, they're quite a broad church really. They encompass a lot of different subject areas, a lot of different disciplines, a lot of different skills. But there's several things that we know for certain about creative industries that are really relevant to all of you and everybody working in the field. The two most important things probably, and the two beautiful things about the creative industries, are that they're easily accessible and they're highly scalable. They're easily accessible in the sense that anybody who's got some insight into creativity, who has ideas and who's an artistic or a creative person, can actually exploit those skills and those passions and make a living out of it. Even without any sort of formal education, people are working in the creative industries highly successfully. Now we know that skills are important and education is important, so it's a good way to get ahead in the field, but there are no formal barriers to making a living in creative industries as there are in other more traditional occupations. Some obvious ones that come to mind are things like accounting and business, where there's certain chartered statuses and qualifications that are expected. So very, very accessible industry, which is one of the real bonuses of it. It encourages creative people, people who have a passion. It's also very, very scalable, and you can see this across the whole of North Wales in terms of business size, the dynamics of business, and the types of people that get involved. From somebody working in their garage doing paintings, right up to someone working in a large national or multinational design company. Creative industries is really a very, very broad, highly scalable area. It's a prime sector for business growth. You can start your business in the back of your garage, in 5 years' time you find yourself in a nice office with several staff. There's potential for lots and lots of different things there, and it's very, very open to a mass audience of people who have this creative flair. And I'm not going to even attempt to try and define what we mean by creative flair, because I think that would be quite a difficult thing to do, and it's a talk for another day perhaps. But I'm sure that you've all got it, and the fact that you're all sat here suggests that you've got it. And if you don't have it, you better have it when you finish your course, otherwise we'll all be in trouble. But creative flair is very important, and we want to try and promote that in the creative industries and in the university. Now, despite the fact that the creative industries kind of get a little bit disparate, they get scattered around, and so you have people working in their garages or in a small office, and they get a little bit detached from the broader kind of business world. And we know this, and the creative industries and professionals tell us this all the time, that what they need is hubs, if you like, central resources where they can go, pull information, pull resources and meet other creative people. And the creative industries building that we're working on in the university is such a hub, such a space for creative people in education and in the university to meet people in the industry and from the outside world. And this Creative Futures Week is one step towards that as well, to fuse what we do together with what happens in the, inverted commas, real world. And in the local area, we know how big and how important creative industries actually are. We know that there's over 400 businesses that work in the creative sector around Wrexham, and we know there's more than 3,000 across North Wales. 3,000 is a staggering number of creative businesses. Now, the majority of those are small micro businesses and freelancers, but some of them also include very large organisations, and the BBC is a good example of such a large organisation. So that's kind of the local area in terms of Wales and Wrexham, and the universities recognise that this is really a key thing for us to develop. But To give you some more information, if we look at the creative industries nationally, we find out some really interesting things. We know that the creative industries in the UK is the largest creative economy in Europe. Now, Europe is not a small cookie by any means, and Britain is leading the way in the creative industries. Our creative industries make up more than 7% of the gross domestic product in the UK, which is a not insignificant figure. And we know that there's over 1 million people involved directly in the creative sector in the UK already. And aside from those, we know that there's almost another 1 million that do creative things, but in different business sectors. So more than 2 million people in the UK are engaged in creative industries. And employment is going up as well as a ratio of that. We know at present there's more than 19,000 people in Wales who are engaged in employment in the creative industries, and that figure is expected to go up to 25,000 by the end of 2014. So there's a mass opportunity for all of you in Wales alone to get involved in the creative sector. And the creative employment trends in the UK are smaller nationally than they are in Wales. So Wales has a bigger amount of growth than the whole of the UK in terms of creative employment. So we have quite a growing, booming sector around us here. And the competition's fierce, not only in the UK but also from worldwide. We know that France and Canada in particular are making real big noises to boost their creative economy. Canada is aiming to get to be #1 in the games and creative technology market. France has got similar aspirations, and China and the Far East are also seeking to grow. And we can never underestimate what a country the size of China is capable of achieving once it puts its mind to doing something. As a little example, you're all creative people, so I guess you might have this, but how many of you are fortunate enough to have an iPhone? It's a little show of hands. Or you're ashamed to put your hands up, they're going up and down and things, okay. If you look at the back of your iPhone and you read the small print, which if you're really bored one day you might do. If you read the small print in the back of your iPhone, it says, designed by Apple in California, assembled in China. Okay? The governor of Shanghai recently stated that in 5 years' time, he wants that to read, designed in China, assembled in China. Okay, so there's real fierce competition coming around. But also, there's opportunity. We have to think about the opportunities that there are worldwide with the Far East and Canada and France and beyond. And some assertions about creative industries as well. Quite often, well, if we start with the first one, let's start with the first one. 60% of those in the creative industries are graduates. So yes, it's accessible to everybody without formal qualifications, but the evidence would suggest that qualifications are going to help improve your prospects of employment and your likelihood of succeeding in what is a very competitive, very dynamic industry. But the other 2 points below are probably more of interest to me, and 2 things that I feel quite passionately about. Creative industries and success in the creative industries isn't a random thing. Okay? And I think hopefully as artistic people you'll probably agree with this. If you look into creative industries and the art world from the outside, there seems to be a sort of a sense of, well, it's a bit kind of random, and if you're lucky you might get one of your works commissioned and have success off the back of that. Don't think so. Creative people are quite planning. Yeah? They're good at devising, they're good at working with concepts, and they're good at making ideas into reality. So why should success in creative industries be random? I don't think it is. And I think also contrary to popular belief, people who work in the creative industries actually do understand business and understand the need for enterprise and understand the need for networking and business acumen. And I'm sure that part of the reason why you're all here is to get a firmer grasp on those types of things. Technology is a big driver in creativity now, and one of the things about the new building you'll see is that we have focused a lot on new technology to be used in creativity. And we know that technology is a real big thing for the government, it's a real big thing for the UK, and it's a big thing for Wales. And it should be pushing forward what we do as creative people. So we should be embracing technology and doing new dynamic things with it. But actually, we have to be careful and we have to convince people that it's not the development of the technology and the growth of the technology that's really the key to making the UK a success in business. It's actually what we do with it. Okay? Without creative people, the technology will achieve very little. To give you a good idea, or a good illustration of that in practice, if you take something like the internet, which has been around for around about 40 or 50 years now, the internet wasn't really going anywhere until the web came about. And when the web started to come about, people started to sit up and pay attention and use the internet and engage with it. And now it's grown into this global phenomenon where we've all got internet access on our desks and at home and in the office. But without that creative application, that interface to the human world, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So this massive piece of technology, but without a creative use, probably wouldn't have been nearly anywhere as big of a success as it is now. And another crucial thing, particularly from the UK perspective, is to look at the creative industries and creative people. Creative people are really, really mobile. It's one of the things about that particular type of occupation is that you'll go where the work is. You travel around and you meet interesting people and you work on exciting projects the world over. But one of the things that we have to be aware of, particularly in the UK, is that we want to retain a lot of our creative talent. Yeah, we bring up a lot of creative talent in universities and in industry, and then a lot of it disappears overseas because British creative people and UK creative people are in such high demand because of their skill levels. There's anecdotal evidence actually that suggests that there's around 80,000 Brits working in Hollywood in the film and television industry. 80,000. So we've got 80,000 creative people who've been effectively headhunted or snared up and gone across the Atlantic to work in the industry over there. That's more than twice, 80,000 is more than twice the number of people that currently work in the British film industry. So we really need a big push to try and see how we can retain our creative talent. How do we get ahead in the creative industries? Well, we know that there's three key things that are needed. There's obviously your particular skill set. There's your expertise, whether you're an artist or a designer or a computer games developer or a musician or a performer. That goes without saying. That's your key creative skills. But we know from recent studies in the creative industries in Wales that there's a number of other things that are needed to augment that. There's obviously this important creative centre, and in addition to that, there needs to be some business sense. How do we actually achieve success, not only as a creative person, but in business? How do we communicate with people? Communication is a really, really big thing. I come from a background of computer science. Computer scientists are the worst people in the world when it comes to communication. Okay? I literally have friends who will be more comfortable talking to other friends through Facebook than they will going down the pub and having a chat with them. Okay? Communication is a really, really important element, particularly when it comes to progressing your career and selling yourself and selling your abilities. And a focus on clients, customers, audiences and participants. Knowing who your market is, keeping in touch with that market and keeping abreast of the market so you know where it's going. And these three themes, I think, are things that you'll definitely be exploring a lot more over the course of the Creative Futures Week, and is one of the main drivers to help impart some of this information and some of the experience of people in industry to help you build up these sorts of skills. With a focus on, of course, creativity in Wales. And we know that Wales is a particularly rich background and a rich history of creative talent. And you can see just a small selection of some of the well-known instances of creative people, filmmakers, musicians, actors, artists in Wales, and they're popping up on the screen here. This is just a small sample set. So quite clearly the creative industries in Wales is alive and well. There's a few contentious ones up there as well, but they're all creative. That's the important part. And hopefully you can be part of this, this creative picture of Wales. This is what's gone before, and this is what's here now. And in fact, some of the people who are up here you'll be meeting in the course of this week as well. Could it be that in 5 years' time, your name will be up on here as well, as one of the leading creative professionals that's come out of this university? I hope so. So in terms of current developments in the UK, as I said, we know that the Welsh Government and the UK, the Westminster Government, are prioritised creative industries. So in some senses you're in an industry that's constantly in flux, and even more so now. It's constantly changing, it's moving, it's growing, adapting to new technologies, very, very vibrant. And for your employment prospects, that's no doubt a fantastic thing. It means that there's going to be an increase, as we said, in employment opportunities in the creative sector. And particularly the Welsh National Government has prioritised certain sectors of creative industries above some of the others, knowing that we already have expertise in these fields and looking to push the boundaries of them. And you can see they're listed here. Digital economy, printing technologies, product design and rapid prototyping, and visualisation are big things for the Welsh Government. And they kind of reflect what the government calls its STEM agenda. The STEM agenda is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So you'll see that those four things listed there kind of rely on technology to quite a large extent. And we've recently been discussing about where creative industries fits into the STEM priority. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Doesn't really mention anything particularly creative there. So we know that it's a big priority for the government. So we have this idea that maybe what we should do is we should change that acronym and we should lobby them and tell them that the acronym should become STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts and Mathematics. Although somebody pointed out to me the other day, if we did change the acronym to STEAM, it could suggest that it would be full of hot air. Won't use that one again. What else do we know about the UK in terms of how important, how significant we are in the world and in Europe? We said that we've got the biggest creative industries in Europe. We are also leading the world in a number of areas. We know that we're the largest producer of TV and radio content. We've got the largest publishing industry, and we also have the largest number of games development companies in Europe. So we really are leading the way in a number of those key areas, and those areas where technology is important and is starting to blur the boundaries, if you like, between traditional creativity and the arts and modern media and methods of delivery and production. We've also got the third largest filmed entertainment market in the world. I think out of the 200 top grossing movies that were in the world last year, something like 30 or 40 of them were produced in the UK. And our UK entertainment media revenues are set to reach 56 billion by 2014. So again, there really is strong growth in our sector. So the challenges and opportunities then that come alongside all of this are really to work with these technologies. How do we actively work with technology? How do we incorporate it? How do we use it? And probably you've already got some good ideas yourself of how this can actually be done. One of the most important things is to keep the UK at the top of the game. We're the biggest creative industries in Europe, not far behind worldwide, but we know that there's all this fierce competition that's going to come through from the Far East, from overseas, over the Atlantic. So how do we actually adapt and meet those challenges, and how do we grow the industry? And I don't have answers for these questions. These are things possibly for you to think about. One of the important things that will help us do that, one of the direct challenges for you and for creative people, is to maintain your skills, maintain your continuing professional development, maintaining your networking circles and so on. So CPD, expertise, business strengths, keeping abreast of technologies, very, very important. It may be that once you've gone out into the world of work, you find yourself returning to the university to engage in something like postgraduate study or professional courses or even business courses that might give you additional advantage in the market. The real big thing that we come to in that point at the bottom is that standing out from the crowd is probably going to be the most important thing for each of you individually. How do you get that edge? How do you make yourself that little bit different from the 50 other people who are applying for the same job that you are, or the 100 other people who've submitted a tender for the work that you're trying to get commissioned? How are you going to set yourself aside from the crowd? A really, really important thing to consider. And eventually, someone might come along and they might ask you this question: what do you do? What is your job? And it probably won't be all that straightforward a thing to actually try and answer. There's an interesting quote here that comes from Timms and Wright, and says if someone comes along and asks you this question, maybe as a designer or an artist or a musician or a performer, what do you do? If creativity plays a big role in your life, it's probably not an easy question to actually answer. If you work in the creative industries, it's probably even harder. Reworking concepts, information, ideas and knowledge for a living often doesn't lend itself to a job title that adequately explains what you do. If you work in the creative industries, the chances are you work for yourself, for a small organisation, or for a small team in a big organisation. You're probably working in a close network of collaborators and associates. You probably find yourself working on several different things at the same time, and many of those activities are one-offs and never to be repeated. Diversity and multi-skills are important to your success. So it's not just about being the creative person, being the fantastic musician, being the fantastic artist. It's actually about how you integrate yourself into that creative environment. And that, if nothing else, is one of the main purposes of this Creative Futures Week. Because we know that creativity isn't in short supply. You're all proof of that. This edge is the important thing. And so, what do we talk to employers, we talk to professionals, we talk to practitioners and find out what it is that they actually want. And yes, of course they want someone with qualifications and expertise in a particular discipline or a particular field of creativity. But what else do they want? What is it that they have to do when people come out of university and, very creative people, but they need to adapt to the industry very quickly? And these are the sorts of things that they tell us that graduates need. They need business and enterprise skills. They need management and leadership skills. Experience of the real world, what it's like out there doing the job every day and the challenges that come along with it. Industry-endorsed information and advice. Who do we actually go and talk to seek advice? When we have a problem, when we need some guidance, who can we bounce ideas off? Who can we reflect with? And we need the intelligence of the industry. Where is the market going? Where is the demand? And how can we help to meet that demand? And those sorts of things are things that you'll be finding out a lot more about over the course of this week with the range of speakers that we've got coming in. And we have some fantastic speakers from all over the creative sector talking to you about a wide range of different topics. I won't go through these in great detail, but these are broadly the aims of the Creative Futures Week, and they match up against those skills gaps or those areas of expertise that we know that employers look for. But as I was putting these slides together, I looked at the final point at the bottom. Provide opportunities to network with industry professionals and help create and manage your future. And I stuck an exclamation mark on the end. That sounds really, really scary. If I was in your shoes and I was thinking, okay, this week I'm going to create and manage my own future. Oh, that doesn't sound quite as trivial as it does when it rolls off the tongue. So quite a serious thing, but also quite a pleasurable thing. Lots of enjoyment to be had there, lots of creativity, lots of ways of planning who you are now, where you want to be, and trying to find that roadmap that's going to get you where you ultimately want to go.